This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte, a City of International Success, is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Coming up next on Charlotte, a City of International Success, I will interview George Rutko. We're going to talk about a very relevant topic, digital devices and hacked minds. Stay with us. Welcome to Charlotte, a City of International Success. I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Today, our guest is George Rutko, and he is the author of Hacked Minds. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And George, I know that it's not pronounced George, is it?
That is correct. Yeah, my original name is Jorge.
Jorge, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Therefore, my first name is Latin American.
Oh, that's really nice. I like that. So how was it with the family? Because did you have a big family, small family? What?
My family, it's pretty much a combination of a whole lot of things, yeah, culturally wise. And I would say probably it's a large family. The immediate family is not that large. We are 3 siblings, and our parents, we were 5 in the house, plus a dog that we always had. So that would be the additional
6
member, 6, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, that expanded to my uncles, my cousins, and everybody else that immigrated from Europe. And that's why I was talking about a mix of cultures, because the family came from the Ukraine, my grandparents.
Did your parents speak the language?
Yes, actually I grew up in Argentina speaking Ukrainian. Yeah, so I haven't learned the language of the land until I was exposed to the Argentinians, but at home we spoke Ukrainian.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Now, what did your father do?
My father was, originally he was a shoemaker when he came to Argentina. And then from there he evolved into becoming an auto mechanic. He always loved cars, so he actually educated with books that he borrowed from my uncle, who was an official mechanic. He went to school, so he had all these manuals and books for students. So my dad, before he would go to sleep at night in his bed, he would read those books and just get acquainted with everything that was related to cars.
Who needs college, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So now, did he work for himself or did he work for a company?
He worked for actually GM, General Motors, had a big plant in Argentina at that point in history. So he worked there for many years, and I think that he did that on purpose so he could acquire experience.
That's
So
smart.
with the reading of books and getting educated with what cars is concerned, plus the work that he had with General Motors, he decided to quit his full-time job and became an independent mechanic. And the neighbors loved that because everybody would bring the car to my home, yeah, and he will fix them.
Entrepreneur. See?
Yeah.
But that was so smart because he not only learned about it, through books, but he also worked in the field,
That is correct.
because that is really important. Because
Yeah.
he, firsthand, he has seen how it works, what's the business like, what does it take,
Right.
and then for him to start his own business.
Yes.
How many siblings did you have?
3. I had a sister who passed away a few years ago, and then I still have my little brother, or baby brother, if you will. He lives in the surrounding areas, so we are kind of close to each other here.
I would think your mother was quite busy with 3 of you. And the
She-
dog,
she-
don't forget the dog.
That's
Yeah,
true.
don't
She
forget
didn't pay
that.
attention to the dog that much, yeah. I
So
think-
what did did she do anything or did just take care of the family?
Actually,
and
she stayed home, of course, taking care of the whole entire family at that point, but she always worked outside of the household environment, which means she stayed in the house. She never went outside of the house to work, but she equipped herself with tools and equipment that was necessary to become a seamstress. She used to
nice.
design wedding dresses. Or bride dresses, so let's put it that way. And I remember future brides would come to my house and she would measure them and take notes of, you know, how this should be and what they would like, and she would show them pictures, and then eventually she would go ahead and sew and put together a dress for them.
That is very stressful.
Yeah, that is what she did.
I know she probably enjoyed it.
Now, she went to school for that. She did go to school.
Oh, there is school for that.
Yeah, she did go to school. Actually, I have some of the books. Actually, it's only one book that it was the workbook where she created small pieces of different
Like patterns or something.
yeah, different challenges that they were given to the students. So she saved all that in a book form. So I have it in somewhere in one of my files. Yeah, very beautiful.
That is precious.
Yeah.
That is totally precious. Now, you know, when we were talking before, you said your family was musical.
Oh yeah. Totally.
What did you mean by that?
Well, totally crazy musical, yeah, because none of them went to school for music, talking about my parents, but they sang very well, they play instruments very well. My father was totally like a man out of this world, because he could play any instrument that will have a string, a banjo, a mandolin, a guitar, a bass guitar, anything that will have strings, he would just play like a pro. Yeah, and he was part of an orchestra later on in life. He actually recorded a single.
Really?
Yeah, and I have the single with me, yeah. And also in one of my files, yeah.
See, he was a natural musician.
Yeah.
He had the ear for it.
And last night I was listening to my youngest son, and we have a piano in the back, and he was playing the piano, and totally out of this world. I mean, his music is just, it takes you to a different planet.
Oh.
Yeah, and again, it's just, it comes with the
natural.
package. In his DNA, there is music.
Oh, that is wonderful. What did your mother play then?
She played the mandolin. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
What did you do?
What did I do? Musically?
Did you play?
Oh my God! Yeah, I went through. I went through a whole bunch of musical instruments. The first one was the guitar. Why the guitar? Because I was 8 years old at that point, and my mom sent me to learn guitar because we had a guitar at home. That's why.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, that's a good reason. So she didn't have to buy an
buy
instrument,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So I went to, I learned some guitar, but I just didn't want to do that. I was more kind of going in the direction of keyboards. But at that time in history, keyboards were not so popular as the accordion.
Ooh.
And because of the culture that I was coming from, and all the cultures that came from Europe, Polish, Italians, people from Portugal, Germans, those guys all play the accordion. Yeah. And so I wanted to play the accordion. So guess what? I actually have an accordion today. Yeah, I can play it today because I still love it the way it sounds. Yeah. So I did that, and then the third level was pretty much when I joined the Army, because I was a musician, or I knew about music and I know how to read music too. They incorporated me in the band of the Army, so the Army's band.
How was the experience of being in the Army?
Oh, the Army, the most beautiful experience I'd ever had. And sometimes we clash with some guys that went to the Army and they didn't have a good experience. But at that point in history in Argentina, the Army was a mandatory thing for boys that were reached the age of 18. So once you would get to that particular age, you knew that you were going to the Navy, the Air Force, or the Army, one of the three, right? So I ended up going to the Army, and it was a wonderful experience. And when I'm saying a wonderful experience...
Yeah, in what way?
Yeah, that's what I want to underline, because it really engraved in me a character that at that point in life, you know how it is. Boys, when they're 17
Yes.
or 18 or even 19 and even older than that, they just totally kind of like, they have no direction. It's just like
Yeah.
totally like you want to put them in the right place, but it seems like there is no hope for that. So the army, the army did help. Not just me, not just this guy here, but everybody else that was there. I mean, we went there. I remember boot camp. 45 minutes, not 45 minutes, I wish it would be 45 minutes, 45 days.
Oh, yeah.
And we came out of there like, we felt like real men. We just kind of like, not in a sense of gender, but in the sense of character and discipline and everything else that comes with a package of when somebody looks at you and say, wow, what a great
Well
person.
put together and learn a lot about
including
life.
my own family. When I got home, they were like,
Who
looking at
are
me
you?
like, who are you? Yes. Yeah.
That is wonderful.
No, that's
That's
true.
wonderful. So, did you go to college? Did you pursue after military? Did you try?
Yes,
to?
I started college in Argentina, and then things changed when who is my wife today showed up in Argentina. So that kind of broke a little bit the pattern of what I was going to do eventually. I wanted to be an architect. That was my goal in life, and here I am today, right? An author, writing a book after so many other things that I have done in life. So at that point, I came out of the Army. I was in school at the same time because I was able, at the end of my time in the Army, I had time to go to school. So I was doing school, taking hours of college during the evening time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then later on, when I got out of the Army, of course, we have connected with who was going to be my wife, Adrienne, and it's another story, who I met in Argentina. And I think that changed my whole entire future. Yeah, because I had in mind a different project, and then when she showed up, things just
You
changed.
just dropped everything.
Yeah, drastically.
And you said, that's it. I'm marrying her. I'm chasing her, marrying her.
Well, we wrote letters for, at that point, we didn't have emails. I mean, we were not in the digital age yet. So we would handwrite everything. So we have piles of letters that took us about
That's
4.5 years. And so we built our relationship through the letters, yeah. And with that, my vision of the future was slightly changing. I was unsure if I was going to marry her, but that whole process pretty much was detouring myself from my projects of what I wanted to.
Where does she live?
In U.S.
Oh.
Yeah, right here where we are today.
Oh.
She lived there here, and they were actually invited to a wedding down in South America. And the interesting thing is that the wedding was in Paraguay, which is a totally different country from Argentina. It's on the north part of Argentina, sitting on top of Argentina. And it happened that we were invited to the same wedding. So that's pretty much what became the connection of the two of us. Yeah.
That is wonderful.
that changed.
So, did you then come to the United States?
That is correct. Yeah. Well, that was my goal. As soon as I could, I would come to the U.S. just to see her. And pretty much that's how my whole entire life changed in many ways. I had to learn the language, number one.
How did you learn the language? Because you didn't do it in school, right?
I had school. I mean, I had 7 years of English in Argentina, but I didn't care.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't
You
care.
didn't care. You mean you
I didn't care
flunked?
about learning English because I knew already.
Are you trying to tell me you failed your English?
I failed my English
Okay,
every
just-
year.
just-
Yes, I failed English every single year. I had to go to summer school. Yeah, so I could pass. Yeah, because I didn't really see a reason. That tells you that I was not even thinking about coming to the U.S.
Right. Right.
And now look at me. I'm talking to you in English, right? I had to.
know.
Yes.
Oh, that's really cool. So, so how did you learn? Then you came to the United States. When did you come to the United States?
That was in the early 80s.
And
yes.
where was she?
She was in New Jersey
New
at that
Jersey.
point.
You know, you didn't know English then.
That is
and
correct.
You didn't do well.
Absolutely.
And,
I knew some words like
Right.
potatoes and tomatoes.
Just the food stuff,
but the
important stuff.
Right, but
about
the interesting
food,
thing is
yeah.
that in Argentina I was learning the English that was not the American, but was the British one. So
Right.
that complicated my life even more. So the
Right.
few words that I knew, when I would try to match them here, just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I understand that part. And so, how did you learn then? What
Well,
you do?
I went to school here in the States one day, and that was it.
Again?
Yeah, I say, this is not for me. This is not for, I felt like that was for little kids, you know what I mean? Like for first graders. I say, at this age, I'm not going to say, you know, Mary is good, you know, he is bad. I just couldn't handle that, yeah. So I went out that particular night after the first class, the only class, and I got myself a dictionary, Spanish, English, English, Spanish, right? And I carried that with me everywhere I went. And I was listening to people, particularly professionals, very carefully, so I could record the way they were talking and then resemble that and copy them. And so I was making sure who I was hanging out with.
Oh, a true immersion, and then almost like your father.
Yes,
Learn
and then
through
when
the
I would take,
dictionaries and
and then when I
books.
would take a shower, I would speak English the way it would come out, just like somebody that wants to sing.
It's like singing in the
Yeah,
bath.
you sing in the bath, right? I would talk a different language and while I was taking a shower, and I was totally impressed with what was coming out.
I love it. I love it. Even, you know, that's because you wanted to learn.
Oh yeah,
You know, when you have that kind of self-motivated kind of inspiration, you'll do anything to make it happen.
yeah.
And it is not a forced thing. You wanted to integrate.
I
You
didn't want
wanted to
people. I didn't
learn.
want
You
people
wanted
to help me.
Right. You
I didn't
wanted
want.
to be
I wanted
successful.
to acquire that on my own because I knew that if I was going to sweat, then it was going to work out. If it was going to be easy, then it would not work out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't want anybody to help me.
Did you do anything else? Did like graphic design? What did you do?
Yeah, I did.
had to work
yeah,
somewhere,
I had my own company up in
Yeah.
New Jersey for
Okay.
many years. I had a training facility, actually international training facility. So I would train people that were interested not only in desktop publishing, but also in graphic design. So I had a graphic design studio in the back and a training facility in the front of this particular environment. So I did that for several years, and I love that because I'm so creative. My
Yeah.
brain never stops.
Sure.
And that environment was just perfect. On one side, I was happy to see people learning, right? And I would tell them how to learn. And when they would learn, I would say, great. And then the same thing, I would go to the back where the graphic design studio was, and we were designing something. I say, that looks good, but not so good, so let's do this. And then when it looked good, I was like, yeah. Great. So it was
The
a combination.
creative mind really,
Yeah.
you know, helped you.
Yeah.
$1 million question, when did you come to Charlotte?
1994.
1994.
That was when the World Cup took
Ah.
place in the U.S. Now the World Cup is coming in Russia.
Super.
This June. At that point, it was in the U.S. Yeah.
You worked here for any company?
Yes, I worked for several companies here. I transferred my business, my graphic design business, and I had my own place here in Charlotte, and I was able to work with the bank companies that we have here,
Okay.
the different, when they used to have a different name.
Yeah.
Today they have changed their names, but all the original companies that were banking corporations,
You worked for
I
all of them.
worked with them designing different things, and so that was good. And then right in the midst of the whole entire thing, there was an opportunity for me to jump into television here, and I worked for NBC News Channel, which was the Spanish section or department of NBC.
Sure.
So that was something that happened at that point, but I'm not going to get into that.
So
at this
now
point.
I'm really curious
Yeah.
because I need to talk about your book, Hacked Minds.
Right.
The reason I really want to talk about it is because it is a huge discussion, topic, concern, stress levels for people, things that are happening with it. So I'm sure you probably have, you know, written the book because, you saw something. So for me, I'm going to, with the limited time we have, usually when I go somewhere, then I watch people, families sitting together. Not all of them, some of them. And then all they're doing is just looking at their phones. Nobody's talking to each other. And I also see that those things have become, media has become some kind of babysitting tool.
Correct.
And also at Central Piedmont Community College, everybody knows that we have our curriculums are superb. They're job ready. Our students are job ready. But at the same time, they're also requesting us to teach like soft skills, communication skills,
Right.
and where people can interact and make
Correct.
decisions, work in a team environment. And so tell me about what is Hacked Minds about?
Well, literally, it's what the title defines, hacked. It's when you're hacking something, when you're hacking a computer system or a program, what are you doing? You're taking over without the consent of the other party, which means you dive into an area that you're not supposed to, and you take control of that. And that's pretty much what is happening with our minds today.
Yeah,
We're just going along with the flow.
yeah,
A flow that is enticing,
yeah,
appealing. Every time you look at a screen, it's always beautiful. There is always something that you like. There is something you want to touch there and bring it up. It's just like in nature would be, if you would touch a flower, it would open up. That's pretty much the feeling that you get with a digital device today. So definitely there is a hacking here, because I didn't ask for that, but it's really pulling me in. It's like a vacuum. So I would not tell people you're doing something wrong. They just don't know what they're doing. That's the problem, because this is taking you, it's like the current of a river
yeah.
that comes very strong, but because the water is so fresh and so cool, and it's summertime right now, you just go along with it. And that's what is happening with a whole lot of people, and that's why Hacked Minds.
I really like the concept because it's like an addiction.
It is. It is an addiction.
It is an addiction.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Tell me about it. I probably have 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's just as an addiction to smoking marijuana. The guy that needs to smoke marijuana, it's pretty much similar to the guy that needs to get that phone or that device back into his hands so he or she can go back online.
Wow. So, when you say addiction, that is pretty dangerous concept.
Correct.
Okay, that means I really do need then treatment, like anything
Correct.
else, right?
Just like anything.
Alcohol, like
Just,
cigarettes. And each time that ding happens on my phone, if I'm running to it, right?
Right.
And then I leave everything, I leave everybody that I'm around with, or I just react to it.
Correct.
I cannot put the phone away. It's beside your bed, right?
Right.
So, and I don't know how many people get up in the middle of the night if there's a message, and again, if there's another
Right.
ding to, almost like you're programmed in.
Right.
So, addiction is a very kind of concerning,
Huge.
concerning thing for me. Just the very thought of that somebody could be addicted like that. So, do you write about how do you get out of that? Because it is an addiction, right?
It is.
Then
yeah.
how do you get out of that?
It is. Well, one of the number one, you got to test your addiction. See what the level of addiction you have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And how do you test that?
Yeah.
See how far you can stay from the device that you're supposed to be addicted to. See how many minutes or how many hours or how many days, if you will, you can stay away from it. And that will tell you the level of your addiction. And you can compare that with members of your own family and see who is going to be taking more time off than the other. And that will tell you where you are. And that is going at the same time to help you to auto-discipline yourself.
Okay.
Because the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's just like any other addiction.
Yeah.
The farther you stay from it, the more mercy you're going to get. But the closer you stay, what is going to happen? It's going to take over again. And the problem that is number one with this particular addiction is that people don't see that there is a lack of respect for everybody around. Just like any person that is addicted to anything else.
Yeah.
The person that's addicted to anything else, when it comes time to deal with the addiction, they can care less about who is around. And the same thing is happening with our digital devices. And that is a total out of respect for the rest of our environment.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. You really put a different perspective and spin on it for me, because I see it and I understand the disrespect. I understand when people, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we were talking about things and they're looking at the phone, or they're picking up that phone and talking to people in the middle of the restaurant. You can hear the entire conversation. There's no privacy whatsoever. But when you used the word addiction,
Yeah.
now I can actually see it.
Yeah.
Now I can see people around me where may fall into categories of different levels.
Correct.
So I'm sure, I don't want to give everything away, but I'm really positive that means you not only talked about the strategies, right, of how to get away from that.
Absolutely.
And then maybe some real examples and saying, do this. Am I right?
Absolutely. It's steps that you have to take in order to get out of it. Yes. And then the other thing that you got to take in consideration is to pay attention to your surroundings
Yeah.
constantly, and see if you can find people that are totally free of digital devices. If you find people that are totally free or disconnected from digital devices, you found a good thing.
I got you. It's almost like a sense of security for people to hold on to the phone, not interact with people they don't know, just look at it. And I'm truly looking forward to reading your entire book, because
Yes, please
I'm
do
going
it.
to go ahead and observe the things that you're talking about.
Absolutely, do
and
that.
And what a
Yeah.
wonderful topic, and this is something everybody is struggling with. And so I'm so glad you wrote about it. And thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
your story as
Appreciate
well
it.
as your book with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for being on our show.
Thanks.
And thank you for watching Charlotte, a city of international success.
A production of PBS Charlotte.